We were all a single cell once. Today, I'll be talking about one of my favorite cells, the oocyte or the egg. This one cell gives rise to the more than 28 trillion different cells in an adult human. Join me for this short taster lecture where I'll take you on a tour of the cell and show you one of the many reasons why the oocyte is so interesting. Malolele, I'm Zaramasina Clark and I'm a lecturer in biological sciences at Te Herenga Victoria University of Wellington. Before we start our tour of the cell, let's take a step back. What is a cell? Cells are the simplest living units. The majority of all living organisms are just a single cell. The rest, like animals, including us, are made up of many cells organized into organs and tissues, which function together to ensure the survival of an organism. There are two types of cells, prokaryote and eukaryote cells. Today, we're just going to focus on eukaryotic cells, the types of cells present in animals. Within a cell, lots of complex and sometimes incompatible functions must occur at the same time. Eukaryotic cells physically separate or compartmentalize their functions. We call these compartments organelles. Let's have a look at a couple of these organelles and the functions that are involved. First up, we look at how a cell function is controlled by genetic instructions stored in an organelle called the nucleus. Most of the genes that control cell functions are found here. Cells require energy to perform many of these functions necessary for life, and the mitochondria are the organelles found in all animal cells where a process known as cellular respiration occurs. This process uses oxygen and organic molecules like sugars and fats to generate a form of energy for cells. Mitochondria have really interesting origins. Based on several pieces of evidence, we theorized that early in evolution, a eukaryotic cell engulfed a prokaryotic cell that was capable of cellular respiration. And so the original eukaryotic cell became the host cell, and the engulfed cell became what we call an endosymbiont, a cell living in another cell. Over time, these two cells merged into a single organism, and the endosymbiont became the mitochondria. One piece of evidence that supports this theory is that inside mitochondria, you find DNA molecules. Apart from the nucleus and chloroplast in some plants and algae cells, it's the only other organelle that contains genes. And so what seems like a basic fact about an organelle actually underpins the idea for treatment of a form of inherited disease. During fertilization, a sperm fuses with an oocyte to form a one-cell embryo. The sperm only contributes the nucleus, or one set of chromosomes, and the oocyte, on the other hand, contributes the nucleus, which is the other set of chromosomes, but also all of the other organelles in the embryo. This includes the mitochondria. And so this means that all mitochondrial DNA is only inherited from the maternal lineage. Mitochondrial diseases are a group of conditions caused by mutations in the mitochondrial DNA that impair mitochondrial function. Because mitochondria have such an essential role in cells, patients with these diseases will often have a really poor prognosis. Because we know that mitochondria and offspring all come from the oocyte, we also know that these diseases can be inherited through the parent that contributes the oocyte. Mitochondrial replacement therapies were developed using this fundamental understanding of cell biology. There are several different MRT methods, but the underlying ideas are the same. You have an oocyte from a patient, which contains mitochondria with disease-causing mutations. You have an oocyte from a donor, or a person who doesn't have these mitochondrial DNA mutations. You can remove the nuclei from both oocytes and transfer the patient nucleus into the oocyte with the healthy mitochondria. This technique reduces the likelihood of transmission of disease to offspring while ensuring that the offspring are still genetically related to their parents. And while this might sound like science fiction, MRTs have been approved for use in the UK and Australia, and a handful of children have been born after MRT. Our quick detour looked at two of the only organelles that contain DNA in eukaryotic cells, and this fundamental understanding of cell biology is really relevant when it comes to developing treatments for mitochondrial disease. We build off this knowledge of the cell in courses in the Bachelor of Biomedical Science degree, delving further into the details of these cutting-edge MRT techniques and some of the ethical and cultural considerations for these technologies in some of our postgraduate courses. Study for a Bachelor of Biomedical Science at Te Herenga Victoria University of Wellington.